Hi, I'm Katie Kempner, and welcome to Perspectives here at Advertising Week at the Huffington Post stage. Perspectives is a series of inspiring conversations with remarkable working women who are balancing busy lives. And my last guest of the day, no pressure, is Gabi Schindler, the CMO of Amobee. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for stopping by. So I just wanted to start by talking a little bit about your role and what you do.
I'm the CMO of Amobee. I run worldwide marketing. I'm based in California, but I travel a lot through other locations that we have in Europe, in Asia, and obviously in marketing you're always on the road.
So I would like to start because we were just having an interesting conversation about having children, and we found out we both have 17-year-old sons.
Yes.
Which is, we could have an entire conversation about
that. Right.
But you were talking about when he was young and how, well, I'd like you to tell it, when he was young, how you sort of balanced everything together.
Because he was such a wonderful surprise in my life, and yet I really loved to work as well. I wanted to make it both work. I wanted to be a good mom, but I wanted to also be a good professional woman. And I decided very early on that I wanted to make my child part of my life, my work life and my private life. And since I always had to travel a lot, I decided that maybe it was a good idea to have him part of that. So when I came to New York, I brought him and my nanny, you have a lot of frequent flyer miles at some point, right, with us, and they did their day activities in New York. And at night when I came back from the office, we had dinner together and we explored New York in the evening as long as he could stay up. And it made me happy as a professional, and I think it helped him not to have an abandoned, lifestyle. He didn't feel like his mother was never available, and the nanny loved it too, right?
Yeah.
She got to go out in New York, and we had a wonderful time together. Sometimes my husband came, and as he grew, I became very aware of the fact that kids need to know where you are during the day, what you do. And so when he started to go to school and had homework to do, I brought him in after school sometimes to do homework in the office. And as a result, I think he got to appreciate a working mom. And he, to this day, doesn't mind coming to the office and occasionally doing his homework in the office, because everyone is working there. Everyone is, in the same boat, so to speak, right? So he's been very understanding about my job, and in fact I think maybe there's a bit of admiration in there too, right? Because he realizes I can have a mom and she can be a working woman, and the relationship that he sees me having with my coworkers hopefully also teaches him something.
Well, you're
right?
a great role model.
Well, hopefully. I mean, yeah. I'm sure he'll get the days. Yeah.
So now, what advice, you mentioned something, and I know I have women coming into my office over the years that say, so, when would be the right time for me to have a baby? Because I don't think anything's going to slow down, so when should I have a kid? And I mean, I'm a very wing it person, so yeah. I never planned anything out. I don't know if that's good or bad.
So am I.
What do you tell women? Is there a right time to figure these things out?
It's today. It's always today. Seize the moment, right? If you're in the right spot in a relationship or whatever your life is all about, and you feel it's time to have a child, have a child. And work and children can wonderfully go together, right? And in fact, as I told you, I have a colleague coming back from work after taking 3 months off, and I know she's having this anxiety about leaving the baby behind. But I told her, look, there's a day you'll cry, but then bring him into the office, bring him in for a few days. You won't do it very often, but you will occasionally, or you may have to work at home one afternoon because he's not feeling well and you don't want to leave him with a nanny. But don't ever be afraid of saying, I need to work from home today because my child isn't feeling well, or I need to go and take him to the pediatrician. I would like to do that versus my nanny, right? Because I think we need to make life and work happen together and be able to be very honest about it. Because what companies get in return is incredibly happy and loyal employees.
Yeah.
There should never be any question about that. I don't have to hide anything. I don't have to lie about an appointment. I don't have to make anything up. You got to take him to the pediatrician, you take him to the pediatrician. I'll see you later, or I'll log in later. Or people who feel that they can work in an environment where it's okay to be a mom and but equally respected as a professional, I ultimately think will be better and more successful at the job that they do. That's my personal
And
experience.
if you're in a type of situation where that isn't going to happen, then you really, I think, tell me what you think, you have to ask yourself, is this a place I want to be that doesn't
Exactly.
value, me as an entire person?
Right, exactly. Because at the end of the day, women in the workplace, that is a reality, will continue to exist, and I think we have to still procreate at the same time, right? And I think a happy family life and a happy mom, right? Let's just face it, right?
Yeah.
In the working world, is going to be an amazing contributor to the workforce, right? It's that feeling, the ability to do both without feeling threatened to lose your job or without feeling inadequate as a mom, right? Because it's the other thing. Some moms feel inadequate as a mom because they work too many hours here. So bringing it together, I think, is something that companies need to strive for. And quite honestly, if I had my druthers, I'd have a daycare center at my company. Because nothing is more important to be able, while they're really little, right?
Yeah.
To be able to sometimes go and see how they're doing. In fact, I know one mom who went to work for Nike, left a very well-paying investment banking job behind in San Francisco, simply on the premise that they have a wonderful daycare center where she could put her very young child and go and see her during lunchtime. That's what all companies should do, right?
We had spoken briefly before we started filming about maternity leave.
Yes.
And in my case, with both my kids, my company, CPB at the time was a lot smaller. I didn't really take maternity leave. You said you took 2 weeks and it was a mistake. I spoke with Sarah Robb O'Hagan, who has 3 children. She's the president of Equinox Gyms last year, and she was saying that with one of her children, she didn't take any maternity leave. With another one, she took a lot, the time you could, and you just have to remember that you need that time.
Yes. So I did the same that you did. Partly because it was an unusual situation. I took a job. I didn't think I was going to be a mom. It was a surprise against all odds. I hired so many people in a short period of time. I felt I had to come back. I felt it would be unprofessional for me to leave everyone dangling for a month, 3 months, whatever, right? So I did come back. However, that also made me bring my child sometimes. So I give you an example. My mom helped me out the first 6 months, which I'll be forever grateful. She came and lived with us, and she brought my child to me at lunchtime.
Really?
Yeah. So I could feed him.
Yeah.
Personally. We didn't do that every day, but occasionally I had him sit in my office. I mean, they sleep, for the first, 3 months a lot, right? So he would just be in his little car seat and be asleep while she ran an errand. So maybe that early on made me actually incorporate him into my work life, because I felt that this little creature needed me. And my mother was definitely intent to say, maybe you should see him at lunchtime. Instead of going to lunch, you could have him for an hour, right?
Yeah.
And in the end, it was actually pretty sweet, because my whole team looked forward to having him there. And sometimes he was in a meeting with us, right, while he was asleep. But at the end of the day, I think if I had my choice, I would probably wanted to take 3 months off. Personally, I always feel I lost out on something. On the other hand, you do what you need to do to make yourself feel comfortable as a professional and as a mother, right? So I don't think he will know that I didn't take 3 months off. I will always miss out on it, but at the same time, somehow we made it work, right? And I think that's the part that I always encourage other moms. Make it work and don't sacrifice either one, right? And you don't have to. It can all work together.
So just to build on that,
Yeah.
I'd like to end by asking you if you have one piece of advice that has helped guide you through your career that you can share with us. What is that?
Always do what's coming from your heart and let life happen. And always be very transparent about it. Don't ever think you have to make up a story about you are a mom and you're a professional, and that is wonderful. And I think every employer will benefit in leaps and bounds from exactly that individual who is happy in both situations, right? And doesn't feel guilty here and doesn't feel guilty there, but becomes complete as one individual, as a working and a professional woman, right? A professional and a mom, in other words. So just be you and be honest. And by the way, that can also mean that if that means that you want to take time off from work altogether, that's also okay, right?
Yeah.
If you can, if you financially can. But at the end of the day, you can be, I think, a fantastic mom and bring the two together very well if you just are honest and transparent about being both and giving actually both their best, right? I mean, that's at the end of it too.
Well, thank you. That's terrific advice. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're doing this show. This is really fantastic.